Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Risk of Rain 2. I am the Irish Kaiser, and today we're going to be doing a class-specific review for the pre-release version of Risk of Rain 2. Now, I have, in my short time with the game, managed to unlock and play every single character. There are some I like, there are some I don't like, and that's mostly down to personal preference. All of them are decent, some of them better than others in my opinion, but today the class we're going to be dealing with is the Artificer. It's the, I would say, hardest class to unlock. It takes the most grinding and the most game knowledge. I will run through how to do it if the chance presents itself. But seeing as I have the class unlocked, it's going to be a kind of a pantomimed guide. But luckily for myself, my friend who I was playing with the other day understood, or rather Googled, how to unlock this character, so we managed to figure it out. But in terms of team roles, I'm going to be playing a solo game, and then I'll likely switch over to a team game full of randoms. But the role this class fulfills is pure DPS, and not damage per second per se, but damage per shot. This flamethrower, while it has the highest percent damage in the game of any one single attack, it is a timed beam where you do have to hold on to it, and it lasts for about 2 seconds, I believe. This charged nanobomb is the single highest damage per shot attack in the game. When charged, it deals up to 1200% damage, and it also stuns all enemies that are stunnable, which is extremely useful. Snap Freeze is pretty good. Depending on the percentage health of your enemies, it can insta-kill them. Or if you freeze them and then you do damage to them, it can kill them while they have a large portion of their health remaining. Flame Bolt is your primary fire, 200% damage, and it also lights your enemies on fire. Very basic. It does have a recharge time, and you can only hold up to 4. I have not found any way to increase this. However, there is a very easy way to get tons of nanobombs stocked using a very simple item, which I will actually review, do a little item review, my personal picks for items and equipment. Soldier Syringe, always good. Due to the fact that this class has no movement abilities, Tougher Times is extremely valuable. 15% chance to block incoming damage. The more you can get of these, the more likely it is that you survive, which is extremely good. Lensmaker Glasses, always good, but doing double damage on this character is extremely important, just due to the fact that your main purpose is to be doing as much damage as possible. Pulse Goat Hoof, very good utility. Wouldn't recommend Standing Still for Bustling Fungus. Crowbar is quite good if you want to one-shot, say, wisps or other such things. It's quite good. But, yeah, I would recommend Crowbar early. Try Tip Dagger. It's okay. This class doesn't have a particularly high rate of fire, so proccing anything that is percent chance based is relatively low. War Banner is, I mean, unpredictable but useful for everything. Cautious Slug is quite nice just for healing out of combat, but this is consistently good across all classes. Same thing with Personal Shield Generator, very useful. Medkit, same thing, very good. Gasoline is actually extremely useful for this class due to the fact that you do not have a constant stream of fire, nor do you have any hit scan attacks. So being able to, say, light a flying enemy on fire and have other enemies light on fire nearby is quite useful. Stun Grenade, not very good. Too low of a chance to proc. Bundle of Fireworks. I do not like Bundle of Fireworks. I find it relatively inconsistent. Energy Drink, always good. Now this is the item that you desperately need for this class. The backup magazine. This gives your an additional charge to your secondary skill, which in our case would be the charged nanobomb, which is extremely important. Every one of these is a direct +1 stack. The most I've had is 4, wherein I had 5 charged nanobombs at my disposal that I could just completely destroy everything in sight with, which was extremely, extremely crucial for making it far in the game. Sticky bomb, it's decent. I hate the rusted key. I don't think I've ever actually found the hidden cache that goes along with it. Armor piercing rounds are always good. ATGs, decent. Not enough rate of fire to proc. Will-o'-the-wisp, useful, quite useful for crowd control, but you already have very high damage, splash damage attacks, so it's not crucial. Hoppo Feather, very good. Any kind of mobility booster is very useful on this class, just due to the fact that you have no ability that allows you to dodge or anything of the sort. Ukulele, again, very good for taking out crowds. Always good on pretty much every character. Leeching Seed, not too great, just due to the low rate of fire, and it's on hit rather than it doesn't really scale with damage. I believe I made that mistake in my last video. I said it scaled with damage, but it's just you gain 1 health per hit, and you gain 1 per stack, of course, but you only get a little bit of health from that. It's not very useful. Red Whip, always good utility. Old War Stealth Kick can actually be quite good for this character, just due to the fact that it has such low survivability. Fuel Cell is, if you get it, it's fine. It allows you to use your equipment, your Q ability, multiple times, and it shortens the cooldown, which is good. Infusion is decent, just due to the fact that you have low health and low survivability. Bandolier is very good because you're going to be entirely relying on abilities with cooldowns. Rose Buckler is okay, as it is with most classes, but you cannot attack while sprinting with this class, so it does lose a little bit of value. Chrono Bobble, I mean, I suppose if you're trying to kill something that's moving extremely fast, but I haven't had any real issues playing on keyboard and mouse hitting things with this class. The primary fire's projectiles are quite fast. The charged nanobomb is slow, but it does have a large radius, and you should not be firing that at things floating in the air other than bosses, and those are quite easy to hit anyways, so. Frost Relic, I haven't had much experience with this in this game. It's decent, but it's not that impressive. This is quite nice just because it allows you to jump extremely high. Dealing 2300% base damage that scales up with speed is actually quite a significant amount of damage, but it's more useful for just dodging in general, just to confuse the AI. I've never gotten this particular item on this class. I would imagine it's useful. This is just a very useful item in and of itself, but I'm not entirely sure. Titanic Knurl, always good. Increases your maximum health by 40 and health regeneration by 1.6. This is a boss drop item exclusively, from what I understand, from the Stone Titan. Shaped Glass, I got this by accident in my last multiplayer game. I was playing with a group, and I was showing them how to get to the place where you unlock the Artificer, and this was for sale, and I'd never had it before, so I picked it up. But this could be very good, but in my experience, it was an absolute death sentence. It doubles your base damage, but it decreases your maximum health by 50%, which, with this class with such low health, the damage is ridiculously impressive, but it does not it does not afford you any comfort. It doesn't allow you to make any mistakes. Transcendence actually is quite good. Converts all but one of your health into regenerating shields, and you gain 50% maximum health. Does help a lot with survivability. Disposable, all the use items are perfectly fine. The Crowdfunder is nice to have, just to have a hit scan weapon. Disposable missile launcher is nice for taking out a ton of small aerial targets. Foreign Fruit will keep you alive. Primordial Cube will let you destroy things. Ocular Heads-Up Display, in my opinion, is probably the best and the most consistent of all the use items. Just because it's so very simple. You just do critical strikes for 8 seconds. It's extremely useful. I've used them a ton. As you can see, I've had them for over almost an hour and 20 minutes total in playtime. They're very, very good. I am very reluctant to give this up for anything. But, yeah. So those are the items I have unlocked. Those are the items I have experience with. So we're going to just jump into a single-player game. Select the Artificer. I've been playing on Rainstorm, which is just the medium difficulty. I haven't tried Monsoon yet. I'm not that much of a masochist. Drizzle is much more manageable, but it's also much slower to start up. And I don't want to make this video an hour like most of my other videos are, because this is just an overview, a class overview, rather than something as comprehensive. But as you can see, it's quite easy to hit those little floaty wisps just because they're so slow. Their move speed is so lacking. I do believe, yep, the teleporter is right there. We are going to hopefully get ourselves some items before we have to go over there and fight the boss. I do like to prepare before fighting the first boss, just due to the fact that I tend to die on the first boss a lot if I don't... Ooh, there we go. If I don't prepare properly. Let's go check this this turnstile, this triple-headed turnstile. See if any of our high-value items are in here. There is a cautious slug, which is I'm going to take just because it's a healing item and it's relatively early. It is about as early in the game as physically possible. So I'm going to take that. Oh, and we got the blue orb appears notification in the text. You see that? Blue orb appears in that pinkish text. Now what that means is somewhere on this map, one of the Newt statues or icons of Newts, I'm not entirely sure what they're called, has appeared. Now I don't know where it is on this map per se. I might do a little search around for it, but I don't know. Let's get that guy super far away. Gonna open? Oh, I don't have enough money. As you can see, that's the flamethrower. Just does a ton of damage. And the charge nano bomb, tons of damage. I'm level 1 and I'm doing almost 200 damage per shot. Very, very good. And the primary fire does have a small impact radius. So you can splash opponents down if you're having troubles hitting them. But it's not too difficult to hit with the primary fire. You don't have to go for direct hits. You're not going to get that much more damage out of it. Or really any, if I recall correctly. Oh my. There we go. But as you can see, you can't just spam the primary fire because you do run out quite rapidly, which is unfortunate. Pick up this healing drone. Healing drones are very, very high priority. Not an item, but in-game. It's also quite nice to play with an engineer, just due to the fact that they have that shield that can block all incoming damage. And another class I would recommend probably would be Multi, because due to his extremely high health and high armor values, he can kind of tank the damage that you really can't afford to get into, which is quite useful. Now, I'm going to pick the Tip Dagger because we're desperately in need of more damage. For the moment, I'm going to go open this chest, and I think we're going to have to start the teleporter because I'm out of money. Oh, and we got 2 Tip Daggers. Now that is actually quite a good deal, because now we have a relatively good chance of stacking bleed on top of our burn effect. And this right here, what I'm looking at, is probably your worst nightmare. just because those things do. And all fire elites in this game are, by and large, the most powerful variant you can come across. Anything that has that red glow and those red devil horns is really the kind of thing that'll two-shot you or one-shot you if you're a particularly low health class like I am, which is not fun. I do have to say, it's not enjoyable to be playing in a game where if you get a hit one time, you die instantly, and there is no respawning. I mean, I've played Dark Souls 3 quite a lot, and I've done, like, low health builds, but that's only when I'm so familiar with the game, and I know the boss movement patterns, and there isn't too much danger involved. But still, it's not enjoyable to just... It's kind of like facing a hacker, you know? Oh, and there goes my timer. Apologies. I'll have to wrap this game up. I might... I'm currently doing laundry. I apologize. I should be more conservative with my multitasking. I'm not the most... Alright, well, we got an elite here. That's not good. Frost elites are not fun to deal with. Luckily, we do tons of damage. I don't even think that was a Frost elite. I think that was just a... Oh. Gotta get rid of those. These are the things that'll give you problems. The wisps are by and large your hard counter. It's because they're the hardest thing to hit, and they can hit you from extreme range with near perfect accuracy with their little hit scan things. It is quite unfortunate that there is no long-range hit scan dedicated character like there was in the original game. The marksman, the sniper, whatever you want to call him, in the previous title was my personal favorite. Oh, and if you saw that, what we just picked up that's called a Lunar Coin. Those are the items you need to collect in order to unlock this class. I'll show you the area if we can get lucky, and I can get over to one of the shrines in this playthrough. If not, I'll make a separate guide, and hopefully I'll remember to pin that in the comments or something of the sort. You see just how much damage we can do. I mean, I'm level 4. Boss is already dead. I just had to get enough free time to focus them. And it seems like we've been granted a leeching seed. Oh, no. Old War Stealth Kit. This is probably the best class for that. We gotta... This is why I would recommend Crowbar, because you can one-shot these. I'm kind of relying on, Oh, and it seems we have a portal. Let's see which one this is. I'm not entirely sure which one this is. If it is the one to unlock the Artificer, then I'll run through this. But I will also try to show you how to unlock this directly, rather than by chance. This portal spawned by chance as far as I can tell. Okay, yes, this is the Bazaar Between Time. This is the area in which you will unlock this class. Now, unfortunately, I've already unlocked it, so the direct image that you're going to be looking for, you have to be the host of the server, first off, because I played with my friend, and he was hosting the server, and when we got here to unlock it, there's supposed to be a crystal with chains, and it will say 10 Lunar. Now, as you can see in the top left-hand corner of my screen, there's a 7 in that purple bar. You need 10 of those, plus one more to unlock the portal. Now, normally, the portal doesn't unlock like this. This is very inconsistent and very hard to kind of figure out. So I would not recommend just doing this, just waiting until you get lucky and a portal spawns. But I would, there are ways to get the portal to spawn, which I will explain should I come across them. But the general gist of it is, I don't know what this is. Brittle Crown. Gain gold on hit, but lose gold on getting hit. Oh. Well, you're going to come across these things. These are statues of Newts. And you're going to come across them in the world, and they're going to have a little, you're going to have a text icon underneath them, and it'll say 1 lunar. And so long as you hit that before you start the teleporter, when you defeat the area boss, you will be able to, excuse me, you will be able to, the teleporter will open right next to the portal will open right next to the teleporter, as I've spoken. Oh, and it seems we are in luck. Right up there, right behind that rock, where I'm firing, is one of the Newt statues. There is also one that spawns on top of some of the pillars on the central island, or the central rise. But, oh, this is, by the way, the best class for killing these blasted bells. I hate these things. They're absolute evil. But, yes. Okay. Besides the point. This map is probably the most consistent. As far as I can tell, this has always had some kind of Newt statue on it. Be it either on top of this pylon or over there, up on that high area. We'll see if the unlock pattern for it is even open, because there is a chance that the door, which behind the air jet, which launches you up there, will be closed. There is a chance for that, which would be quite unfortunate, but it does. Yep, it is open. You can see it right there, over in this corner of the map. If it is closed, I don't believe that the Newt will spawn there, which is very kind of the developers not to torture me like that. But the other one would spawn on top of that pillar right there, and because it's flat, it'll sit right on top. It's very easy to see, and it's usually there. If it's not up there, it's almost always there. I don't know if there's another location or not, but it will spawn right there. And unfortunately, you will need items to get to it, which does stink because it is very RNG based. You'll need, I use the Milky Chrysalis, which is the use item, which allows you to sprout wings and fly around, which is probably the perfect thing for it. If you have enough, but this is the statue. This is what the statue looks like. It's say 1 lunar, and hit E to donate to the Newt altar. And I hit that. So once we defeat the if we defeat the area boss, that portal, which I just showed, will open up, and that will take us to the Grand Bazaar. There is another portal, which will spawn, as far as I can tell, randomly. But that leads to the unlocking process of the Mercenary, the melee class, which I did manage to unlock. You unlock that one by way of the by way of that secondary portal. It'll look identical to the portal to the Grand Bazaar, but they will not be the same. They will not take you to the same place. That one is relatively self-explanatory. You get in the portal, you do a little parkour, and eventually you reach the end and you reach the obelisk, and there's the portal. And do not go through that second portal that looks like the one through which you entered. Instead, go to the obelisk, very large stone structure, and hit E to destroy yourself. And then it'll ask you, are you sure? And then you hit E again, and you will die, and your run will end, but you will complete the achievement, obliterate yourself at the obelisk, and you will also, in turn, unlock the Mercenary character, which is actually one of the better characters, in my experience. I am not particularly gifted. I'm not that good. I've always played shooter games to shoot things, which just seemed like the perfect logic to me. But if you really want to hit stuff with a laser katana, that is the perfect class for you. There's no other class in the game to date, as this build does allow you to be a melee character. Now, in terms of survivability, it's rather hit or miss. just due to the fact that it is a melee character and you are in such close proximity to all of your enemies. In order to do damage, you have to be next to them. You don't have any real ranged attacks. You do have quite a few lunges, and you have an automatic double jump, which is his passive ability. You automatically have a double jump on spawning, and every time you get, say, a Hop-Ho feather, it'll become a triple and a quadruple jump, etc., etc., which is quite good. But, oh, let's see. Oh, we don't have enough money. But the damage output of that character is extremely high. So it is quite a high risk, high reward, but you do have a lot of dodge abilities. So unlike this character, you can avoid damage as long as you're paying attention. With this, you really just have to out-damage everything around you. Otherwise, you're going to die. Plain and simple. And it's not fun, and it's not very intuitive, but that's just how it is. That's how we do it here. When you're playing as the wizard. And these jellyfish are just the absolute worst. They'll fly up to you and try to detonate themselves on you. And they do a decent amount of damage at this difficulty. Now, for some strange reason, I cannot locate the teleporter, which is unfortunate, because we do need that. Oh, we have a fire elite. We do have to get rid of him quite quickly. Look at how much damage he did, over 100, just all by himself. It's not very fun coming up against those things. The lack of balance between damage of elites of that type particularly and damage of other elites, or like effectiveness of other elites, is quite lackluster. I don't think I've really died to too many elites other than fire elites. I mean, some of them, like the shield elites, are quite difficult to kill if you don't focus them down independently, but they're not that level of difficulty where you get hit and then you take a third of your health instantly, even though you're at a high level. It's not quite that. I'm going to pick up another one of these. Good. It's not quite that. It doesn't give you that sense of urgency that is so familiar when fighting against fire elites. So, Hop-Ho, if you're listening, I'm sure you're not, but if you are, I would just recommend a little bit of a rebalance to that. And then, I don't know if it's just me or the fact that the AI for these the creatures in this game are just obscenely intelligent, but I can never hit anything. Well, I mean, I do very poorly as engineer, is the bottom line. And I really love the engineer class. I love the idea of it. I like the, it might just be the fact that I don't have the right items to make it work, or the fact that I'm not playing with the correct strategy. I'm playing like I would in any other shooter title, any shooter tower defense style game where you have a character with a shield, as in, and especially a character with construction, constructs, such as turrets. But I'm using the shield to protect from heavy boss attacks, which is rather normal. But I'm also using it preemptively to shield my turrets. Now, the turrets die extremely easily on any higher difficulty, and they do tend to glitch out and not target enemies as they come into their range, which isn't very long either. So it doesn't leave a lot of room for error in terms of independence for your turrets. You kind of have to babysit them, and I mean, I'm sure that's the idea, but standing next to them, unless you have the the ability to, unless you, Bustling Fungus is the one where you stand still and you can heal things nearby. The fact that there is no other way to heal your turrets is a little odd. I'm not saying there should be a button that I can hold and just make my turrets invincible, make them God mode or whatever you will. But I do think there should be a more comprehensive way to heal your turrets, such as, I don't know, like, you throw the mines at the turret and maybe it heals them. I don't know. I'm kind of just spitballing ideas here just to make the class a little more sustainable, because at the moment it is not at all sustainable. I can get maybe through 2 rounds finding the teleporter at a normal rate with him, and then it's kind of over. There's no way you're really going to be able to get through the 3rd round by yourself with a class that does such low DPS. And then also his main abilities are, oh, and we'll get the Milky Chrysalis, that's quite useful. But and then in addition to that, also doesn't have abilities that can compensate for that. I like the idea of the shield. The shield is quite good, but 15-second uptime with 25-second recharge. The 25-second recharge does start the second you place the shield down, so you only have 10 seconds of downtime, which I think is perfectly fine. But I feel like that should be communicated in the tooltip, because I played several games before I understood that, and it did not do me any favors. It was not a good time. And I cannot find this teleport. I do apologize, guys. This is the one map where it's almost impossible to find the teleporter, no matter what you're doing. Like, there are just certain parts of this map. Everything's the same color. And I know the devs have talked about the particle effects and trying to make it more visible and the like. And I do commend their commitment to the game, which is quite nice. But it's also not helping me right now because it hasn't been implemented yet. We did manage to pick up a good old-fashioned vial of THC. No. Don't do drugs. Drugs are bad. TLC, Tender Love and Care. There we go. Get a nice big vial of TLC. And this wall is closed, so we do have to go back out the way we came. This is quite unfortunate. I'm likely going to have to quit out because I'm not going to find this in enough time for it to be reasonable for me to assume that I'm going to survive the boss fight, because this has, in my opinion, the hardest boss is within the rotation. I believe all bosses are within rotation, but in terms of this map, the boss that I have the most trouble with, the Wandering Vagrant, likes to spawn here. Just because of the nature of it, the nature of the spawn rates, I suppose. We'll open this, we'll see what do we get. No, we don't want the cube. I'll keep my wings. But, yeah, no, it is useful. It is useful to know which bosses spawn more often. Like, of course, in the desert, the, oh, Lord, I can't even talk correctly. In the desert, the Clay Dune Strider will spawn most commonly. That's the one I've seen the most. Although sometimes you'll get like Beetle Queens or Stone Titans. Stone Titans seem to be able to spawn wherever they so please, and the most common one to spawn wherever. So keep that in mind, I suppose. But in the end, the fact that I cannot find this teleporter is very disturbing. See, this elite's doing a little bit, this shield elite, but these are the Lunar Coins. They'll drop randomly. Whenever something dies, it has a chance to drop a Lunar Coin, which is quite nice. It's quite useful, but it is random, and you do need a total of 11. I am quite upset that I can't find this teleporter because I just wasted a Lunar Coin on this map. Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, I've never been to this area before. Quite interesting. See, we learn something new every day. What do we get? We'll get Tougher Times, Chance to block damage is always appreciated. So I will hit this teleporter right now, unless there's something back here, which there is not. Oh, that's upsetting. I was hoping there was going to be even more to the secret area. We'll hit this. This is not a good place for this to be. Oh, and we got lucky. We got a Beetle Queen. Now the main thing I need to do right here is burst this down and kill these elites. Oh god. As you can see, this is not ideal in the slightest. We're going to have to run, and you see what I'm telling you about these wisps? They're the absolute bane of your existence when you play this character. Absolute worst thing that could happen to you is having like the 80 of these that are around just chilling. And now I'm all off target. Now that we've lured everything away from the boss, we can just burst her down very quickly. Now I heard a bell. I'm not entirely sure from where. Ah, yes. Luckily for us, it is shooting at our drones. Oh, we do have a chrono bottle. Not the worst thing we can get, but definitely not the best. As we spam away. And the main thing, I would recommend jumping at all times. And just, your abilities do recharge relatively quick on this class. Most everything is 5 seconds or so. So you don't have too much to worry about. These ice elites will get you killed quite easily. They make you slow. Exceptionally slow. Oh, and there's a fire elite. That's not something you want to get hit by. So we'll dodge around that. These jellyfish, I swear. You just can't get away from them. Now, as you can see, the portal has opened now that the teleporter has been charged. And we have defeated the area boss without dying. And that is that. So we'll go through this and I'll just show you. It takes you right back to where you were. We're right back to where we were previously. It's very simple, not difficult at all to figure out. Alright, we're here. I'm just going to go see if there's any new items for me to buy with my Lunar Coins, just so I can unlock them. And it does... Oh, what is this? Never had this before. Effigy of Grief. Drop an effigy that cripples all characters inside. Okay, so I put that down. Oh, it makes everything very slow. Okay. Well, that makes sense. I've never had that before. So you just hit Q to put it down, and it'll count as having dropped the item. Interesting. We'll see if we can get any use out of that. I don't think I'm going to have time for a multiplayer game, unfortunately. I would have liked to splice that in, but this has been going on for quite a while. I doubt I'll make it out of this world alive, just because we're already on very hard. We've already been out here for half an hour. We are running out of time quite rapidly, which is unfortunate. And this map also has has probably the hardest boss in the game if you're not playing a hit scan character. Or oh yeah, basically, if you're not playing hit scan, especially the engineer has a hard time with the boss that I'm about to mention, which is, put your guesses in the comment section below. Which one would it be? Which one will the Kaiser have so much trouble with that he'll complain almost as much as, well, more than usual at least. These imps are diving. Yep, and you see how many of these things are spawning? This is high level difficulty. Luckily the hitboxes are relatively forgiving. But the amount of damage I'm taking is not... definitely not beneficial to my health. Luckily, we are one-shotting these. We have 2 crowbars now. We have found the teleporter. I am tempted to just hit it, but I would also like to get a few more items just because of the fact that even though we were facing one of the easiest bosses in the game, we still almost managed to die last round, which is not at all a good thing. We're dying right now, as a matter of fact. We're almost down to half health, so I am going to retreat. It's mainly because of these things, I guarantee it. Just chip damage, constant chip damage. It's just going to be the death of me. It always is. I'll get hit with one big attack. And that will be the end of me. Kill this. These things do quite a bit of damage. These greater wisps. Ow. Thank you for pushing me away from my target. We haven't managed to find any extra magazines, which is quite unfortunate. I would have liked to show just the sheer amount of burst damage you can get with such a tool. With probably, in my opinion, the best item in the game to have. Second only maybe to the Ocular HUD for this character. For the Engineer, since I've been talking about him so much, I will be doing a class overview, probably of him next, because he's my other most played character, and I think we're going to have to just punch this teleporter. I would really like to have a little more time to farm some items, but it doesn't seem we're going to be getting that much of a chance here. We do have to get out of here. This is the death zone. We do not want to get hit with anything at all. Now the imp is over here. This guy has a lot of health, and unfortunately everything is dealing a lot of damage now. We have multiple golems just everywhere. Attacking, God only knows what. Oh God. Oh God. I never want to get hit with that attack. That is by far the worst attack you can get hit with. Oh, and it seems we've fallen out of the map. That is quite unfortunate. That does happen from time to time. It is an alpha build. What do you expect? But it is extremely annoying because it'll take away half your health almost instantly for little to no fault of your own, other than playing the game, I suppose. Oop. Charge this up. Oh, and we have been killed. Let's see what we got killed by. Ah, yes, the ice stone golem. Not it's just counts as a stone golem, of course, but we have finally died. That is quite unfortunate. Alright, guys. So, unfortunately, we are out of time for today. But this has been the Artificer class review. Preemptive, rather, because the game isn't fully released yet. But, for now, I have been the Irish Kaiser. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And have a good night.